with Ty the Dog Guy on the Daily, and I want to talk to you today about weakness. Now, as humans, we like to believe that, we've evolved to a certain level to where we don't pick on the weak, at least as adults. And I, as an adult, like to think that I don't do that, although I'm sure that I have. I know as a kid, I definitely would pick, I definitely at times picked on people that were weaker, and I definitely got picked on for being weaker. But like I say, as we grow and as we mature, we like to think that we're beyond that, and hopefully we are. But I've got a little bit of bad news for you about your dog. Your dog doesn't have that same self-realizing way about them. Your dog doesn't care about morals. As a human, I don't want to pick on people that are weaker than me because it feels morally wrong. I suppose if I was living out in the jungle and it was fight or flight every day and I was fighting to live, I probably would need to pick on people weaker than me. But like I say, in this domesticated world that we live in, we strive to not. And I say we, as the majority of the adult mature population, we strive to not. Sometimes we fail, but we strive to not. I think as a general rule, with very few exceptions. Okay. Now, like I say, our dogs don't exist with that same moral compass. Our dogs are great. They're sweet. They're cuddly. But that cuddly dog doesn't think twice about ripping the head off of a chicken. And some people will do that. But your dog doesn't think twice about about doing something like that. Not every dog, but plenty of sweet, cuddly dogs would be like, oh, I'm cuddly, I'm sweet. All right, let me bite the head off a living creature. Like I say, your dog doesn't have that same moral compass. Now, here's the thing. Dogs pick on the weakling. So I know I've mentioned this in other podcasts and other blogs, but if your dog is at the dog park and your dog is perceived as weak by others, there's a far better chance the other dog's going to come start picking on your dog. This is why kids get bit more than, or one reason why kids get bit more than adults is because kids are weaker. Dogs know that, and they pick on them more. And it's the reason why leadership is so critical for you to have with your dog. Now, I was thinking about this earlier, working on some leadership stuff, on some writing that I'm doing. And leadership is not about domineering. Leadership often is about having more of the picture. I have more of the picture than my dog does, almost always. Sometimes my dog senses danger outside the house that I don't, but almost always I have a greater understanding of the picture than my dog. Meaning, I know that if my dog runs into the street and there's a car coming, my dog could get hit and die or get hurt. My dog does not know that. I have a better understanding of the picture. I know that if my dog gets on the counter and eats some chocolate, he could die or get really sick. My dog doesn't know that. He could eat chocolate, he could eat something, or she could eat something harmful for her day in, day out, and never realize, I got to stop eating that thing that's hurting me every single day. Like I said, my dog doesn't know that. My dog doesn't know that if she attacks, a kid on the street, that she could be put down and get killed. She doesn't know that, but I know that. And so I have a much larger, expansive view of the world than my dog, and so it falls on me to be a leader to my dog. And so this is why it's so frustrating for me when I hear, certain dog training of the day say, oh, you don't have to be a leader, just be your dog's buddy, stuff like that. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to be a leader to your dog, and not everything is as serious as death, but sometimes it is, and sometimes it's as serious as sickness or injury, or sometimes it's as serious as having a dog who's a headache versus a dog who's not. And so whatever level of seriousness it is, if you are not a leader to your dog, if you're not being expansive and understanding, I need you to do this because I see things bigger than you, and I see things that are, more vastly than you do, then you're going to have a dog with some major problems. And so like I say, this is where I was getting at with this as far as talking about weakness, is when dogs sense weakness, they pounce. It might be ripping the head off the chicken. It might be beating up the dog that's smaller and weaker. And it might be picking on you and acting out with you. and saying, I don't care what you're telling me, I'm going to do it my way. And that might be how your dog is picking on the weak one. So what does it take to not be weak? It takes setting down rules and sticking to them. It doesn't require a deep voice and talking like this. It doesn't require shouting. It doesn't require being a big dude. You can be a small woman or a small man. It doesn't require, like I say, a lot of these domineering type things. It requires setting down rules and sticking to them. And if you have a hard time sticking the dog to those rules, that's where training tools are important. And training tools can help you. Training tools like electric collars or prong collars can add the leverage to where you can actually enforce the rules that you set down. And so like I say, if you are perceived as weak by your dog, you could very well have some problems. And your dog could very well have some problems. Do yourself a favor, do your dog a favor, and figure out the way to have compassionate leadership with your dog.